I was wondering when throughout the whole like court case and Eryn coming out here, did she want to come out here? Like, what was her perspective on leaving her mom and moving in with her aunt?
She wanted to come out here, and I wanted to say a really cool thing that the courts does. I don't know if they do this. They take the child, the judge takes the child to a back room and interviews them so the child can out anything. So if they're like, I don't really want to live with this person or this person's lying, they can go in a private room and they have time to tell the judge anything, which I thought that was really cool that they did that. I was happy to see that. I was like, well, thank God.
Yeah.
And then with my court case, I had one custody of Eryn. Praise God, all the drama, everything. I got my niece after this huge battle. My sister ends up getting herself in a lot more trouble, which I didn't even know was going to happen. And she ends up going to prison for 5 years.
Wow.
And I would have had to take my niece anyways.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I didn't know that was going to happen.
Yeah.
So
That's crazy.
It's crazy how like the universe knew and it all worked out. You know what I mean? And I had my niece here, and I will say whenever I got her here, she was in bad shape mentally. She was not in a good, she had a lot of like quirks where like she couldn't let her feet show, or she'd have a mental breakdown, or she couldn't speak to like, you know, to order food or like speak to an adult, like, or she would just like lose her mind. One time I asked her to go refill my drink at Chick-fil-A. I was like, go to the counter, get me a refill. She was like freaking out. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? I was like, I was raised with animals and you can't get a refill of a drink at Chick-fil-A. Like, what is going on, girl? We got to toughen up a little bit. Like, we got to show the toes. We got to talk to adults. You're 14 years old. And because I wasn't raised with like, oh, you have anxiety, you might have a little depression, or there might be some mental health scares going on. Yeah. I wasn't raised that way. It took some time learning like, oh shit, like Eryn's got a lot going on, and that's why these things bother her. So I immediately got her into therapy. But what's cool is like, I grew up in a very chaotic environment, and so did she. So like when we talk about it, she's not talking to it with a person who came from a perfect family. I'm like, girl, tell me about it. You know, it's the sky blue.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. She has an absent father, and she used to be so that used to be like a huge thing for her. Like, why did my father not love me enough to be there for me? Yeah. And I would look at her and be like, have you ever had an absent father that lived with you and tormented you every day but was absent as well? I was like, baby, be glad he's absent, because it can be much worse. And she's 20 now, and I was going through the gigs with someone, and she looked, and they had completely cut me off, don't talk to me anymore, and that upset me. And she looks at me and goes, be glad they're absent, bitch, because she was like, you told me the same thing. She was like, because it could be much worse. They could still be driving you crazy every day and coming at you. And they decided to cut you off. So she was like, be grateful. And my perspective did 360. And I was like, I'm so proud of you, Eryn. Like, I'm so proud of you.
Oh my gosh.
But I put her into therapy, and it changed her life, because I was like, baby, we can cry about this and talk about it until the dogs come home. But like, I don't have tools, you know, and I feel like you need a therapist, because there's a lot to unpack with her, you know. And
good for you.
Yeah.
You hit the nail on the head with that. When people say like, you know, I can talk with someone like, you know, even like Taylor and I feel like we're so close with each other, and I feel like I could share things with him. But at the same time, like if he's going to open up to me about something, I don't have those resources or know what to say and what to ask to help him, you know, solve the problem, or figure out why things are happening this way, or why he might be feeling this way. Like how to guide you. And that's why therapy is so important. Our listeners are probably sick of me saying it.
For you to be able to see that in that moment and be like, oh, I'm going to be here for you. Yeah. I'm going to cry with you. I'm going to like, you know, listen to you. But to be able to say in that moment, I don't have the tools to piece you back to, you know, put you back together piece by piece. Yeah. We need something else here. I just commend you for.
Kudos to you for that, because that probably, like, you know, not to be dramatic here, but that probably saved her life.
It did, 100%. I think what made me realize it is because we spent so much time talking about all the time, and she never wasn't she never felt better about it. And she was always still hurting and so upset. And I was like, yeah, like I see I am not going to be able to fix this, but you can. Like you are strong enough. You can, Eryn. Like you're not responsible for where you came from and things you went through as a child. And I say that for myself, but you are responsible for yourself and how you come out of that. Like as an adult, you can't blame other people. Like you have to work on yourself and put the work in. So therapy changed her life completely. Huge for her.
That's so amazing.
Yeah. And I will say with therapy, I want to say this, like the first couple of therapists didn't do it for her. And people don't talk about that.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It takes work and it takes finding the right person that you vibe with.
It's a relationship.
Yes.
Yeah. It's and you know, it's so easy to get discouraged when
you get one bad apple.
Yeah. And like, you know, like those first few sessions, you're like opening up, sharing your trauma, sharing your story. And then it's like, oh wait, I actually don't vibe with this person. And then it's discouraging.
Yeah, sorry, not a bad apple, just an apple that you don't connect with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a green apple instead of a red apple, and you like red apples. Like it's just that's what it is. And that's I feel like it's hard, you know, having to do that multiple times. I'm not saying it's easy, but
it is
not to have people
it
get
is to start over and be like, here we go again. Let me tell another
bring
person.
Him up to speed.
Yeah.
It's
that was
so
Taylor
hard.
when he first started therapy. I feel like you were like, I don't like having to like start to say
That's
things.
the worst part. It's like, where do I start?
God, right?
It's like I got to bring you up to speed
Am
with
I gonna like you still in
30
3
years of my life. Like,
and you've already done it with someone else.
That sounds exhausting.
It is.